This video has been brought to you courtesy of firmseo.co.uk. In this video, you will gain a basic understanding of the BS7858 standard, which is becoming a requirement for many companies in order to satisfy auditors and insurers. It is also a compulsory requirement for admin staff for security companies. Aim: to introduce the learners to the procedures for security screening as recommended by BS7858 2019. Outcomes: by the end of this session, you will be able to explain the importance of secure screening, list the information which applicants must provide for screening purposes, identify information which must be verified to evidence a continuous record of career and history, identify legislation which may affect the screening process, explain how to keep records secure. The key players in the area of secure administration: SIA, BSIA, NSI, Skills for Security, BSI, as well as your local police service. What is a British standard? A standard is a document established by consensus and approved by a recognised body that provides rules, guidelines, or characteristics for activities or their results for common and repeated use. What does a British standard represent? The standards produced are titled British Standard XXXX, where XXXX is the number of the standard. Products which display the British Standard number show they have met certain standards and specifications. Objectives of BS7858 2019. This British Standard gives recommendations for the secure screening of individuals to be employed in an environment where the security and safety of people, goods or property is a requirement of the employing organisation's operations, and or where such secure screening is in the public interest. BS7858 2019 MB. BS7858 2019 comes into effect on the 30th of March 2020. The previous standard, BS7858 2012, will be withdrawn. Benefits of secure screening include: maintains the reputation and standards of the company. It ensures security and viability of company and client. Maintains industry and commercial standards and complies with codes of practice. Complies with the requirements of insurance companies. Points to note: the security screening process should not be less than 5 years. However, organisations should lengthen the security screening period to cater for contractual or legislative considerations, specific industry standards. All individuals already employed in relevant employment must be screened in accordance with BS7858 2006, BS 2012, or the new BS7858 2019. All new screening for individuals must be done in accordance to BS7858 2019 standard after introduction on 30th of March 2020. BS7858 2019 should be applied equally to full and part-time employees, temporary and permanent employees, to all levels of seniority, including directors. Writing advertisements. From the 1st of October 2006, employment equality age regulations make it unlawful to discriminate against workers, employees, job seekers and trainees because of their age. When writing job advertisements, you must advertise in a way that will be accessible to a large audience. Write the advert using information from the job description and person specification. Avoid using language that might imply you would prefer applicants of a certain age, e.g. mature, young, or energetic. Avoid asking for so many years' experience. All applicants must provide the following information: proof of their identity and addresses of residence. These may be checked using an ultraviolet scanner or other method to deter identity fraud. Details of their education, employment, periods of self-employment, unemployment, and gaps in employment. Details of all cautions or convictions for criminal offences, including motoring offences and pending actions. Details of bankruptcy proceedings and court judgments. A statement authorising an approach to current and former employers, government departments, etc. Setting up an effective screening process. Setting up, maintaining and controlling an effective screening system involves ensuring that there is a separate personal file for each person being or having been screened. A progress sheet for each applicant is maintained. Provisional employment employees' files are separated from those employees whose employment has been confirmed. Provisional employment employees' files should display the dates on which the provisional employment commenced and when the probationary period ends, i.e. 12 to 16 weeks after the commencement of provisional employment. See BS7858 2019, Section 7.6. Verification of information. For security screening purposes, verification of the following should be sought and confirmation in writing and copies retained. Date of leaving full-time secondary education. Periods and types of employment, e.g. full-time, part-time, casual or occasional. Periods of registered unemployment. Periods of self-employment. Periods of residence abroad. Statutory declaration should only be used to cover 1. One unverified period of no more than 6 months in the most recent 5 years of security screening period, and 2. An unverified period or periods not exceeding 6 months in total in any 5-year period in the preceding years where screening is undertaken for a period longer than 5 years. This procedure must be verified on behalf of the person being screened by a solicitor, Commissioner for Oaths, Notary Public, Justice of the Peace. Data Protection Act 1998 came into effect in March 2000 in the UK and applies to the processing of personal information about individuals. The principles of the Act require that data must be fairly and lawfully processed for limited purposes, adequate, relevant, and not excessive, accurate, not kept for longer than is necessary, processed in line with the rights of the individual, secure, not transferred to countries without adequate protection. NB. Subject access routes may be required. Rehabilitation of Offenders Act 1974. The Rehabilitation of Offenders Act 1974 permits, with some exceptions, an individual who has been convicted of an offence and served a sentence of no more than 30 months to be deemed to have rehabilitated himself or herself after an appropriate period has passed without reoffending. Where rehabilitation has taken place, he or she must be treated as if the offence has never been committed. Immigration, Asylum and Nationality Act 2006. According to the Immigration, Asylum and Nationality Act 2006, all employers in the UK are required to make basic checks on everyone they intend to employ. Sections 15 to 26 of the Act should be noted in particular. An employer may not employ an adult who is subject to immigration control if they have not been granted leave to enter or remain in the United Kingdom. Their leave to enter or remain in the United Kingdom is invalid, has ceased to have effect, or is subject to a condition preventing them from accepting employment. An employer may be required to pay a penalty if they are found to be in breach of the conditions set out in the above Act. Maintaining files securely. 1. Each individual being screened must have their own separate file. 2. Individuals currently being employed on a provisional basis must have their own files, separated from other employee files. 3. A separate file must be set up for occasions when an incomplete record of career and history has been evidenced through a statutory declaration or an executive acceptance of risk. 4. Verification progress sheets or equivalent must be present on every individual's file who is being screened. Cessation of employment. The following record should be maintained for 7 years. 1. Written provision of information. 2. A signed statement. 3. Proof of ID. 4. Confirmation of continuous record of career and history, including periods of registered unemployment, records of self-employment, periods of residence abroad. 6. Verification progress sheet or equivalent. 7. employment verification sheet or equivalent. 8. Statutory declaration form, if applicable. 9. Executive acceptance of risk, if applicable.
The aim of this video was to introduce the viewers to the procedures for security screening as recommended by the BS7858 2019. Outcomes. By the end of this session, you should be able to explain the importance of security screening, list the information which applicants must provide for screening purposes, identify information which must be verified to evidence a continuous record of career and history, identify legislation which may affect the screening process, explain how to keep records secure. If you require more information, we run an online course which can be completed in a day or at your leisure. You will be provided with all the documents needed for effective screening. Thank you for watching.